is Howard Kubinski. I am the president of Kubinski Business Systems in Erie, Pennsylvania, and the Davidson Company in Hagerstown, Maryland. Today's video is a brief introduction about automated timekeeping. We're going to go quickly through some of the theory. A more detailed Zoom meeting will be arranged should you want to delve into some more information about the system. There's also other videos covering employee self-service, mobile device, and a few other topics that you can see on our website. The thing about timekeeping is it's separated in between two phases: capturing the event, which are the punches, and then interpreting those events. So on the screen to start, we have a badge reader. This badge reader could be proximity, barcode, mag stripe. You could use this badge reader for what they call pin entry, so I could key in my pin number and press enter. This happens to also show a biometric fingerprint well, and also some function keys. The clock can be used for some data capturing as well. Now, biometrics is very popular. We have the facial biometrics. It's actually facial iris. Facial iris is stronger than just plain facial. We have sold dozens of them, and I have a separate video that shows how easy it is to enroll people and how successful it is in accepting punches. Now, you may just want to use the desk where the employee is at. So here is a portal for each employee. The menu on this is over to the left, and all the menus and concepts that we show in the demo will be busier look than what you would eventually get. So issues that you do not have to deal with will be removed from your menus, but the demo software will show a lot of busyness to it. Don't be too concerned about that. For example, there's not a lot of customers that'll have lunch waivers, but it's okay. You won't need to have it on your system. Typically, after Luke logs in, he'll just click punch, and then he'll click log off over here. Now, like a PC, but not exactly the same, would be using a mobile device. So we have a strong mobile platform. In this case here, this is being the mobile phone screen. They would be just punching in and then logging off. And that's all you would need to do to capture that punch. So now we know some of the ways that you can capture a punch. Now we're going to go into how are you going to interpret those punches. And to do that, we're going to go to the application for supervisors and the head of payroll. I'm going to use the term sub-supervisor sometimes. That just means that people that are working underneath you who are going to help you with certain groups of employees. So for example, this dashboard that's showing, that's going to be able to highlight key items that you are concerned with. You can have a separate dashboard for each sub-supervisor who handles a certain number of employees. You'll be able to track what the sub-supervisors are doing and what they're not doing, as well as have a master dashboard to show everything as an enterprise as a whole. Okay, the main part about interpreting depends upon what are we doing with scheduling. Some people don't use scheduling, some people do. So if you do use scheduling, you probably have adapted one of two types of scheduling. One is repeating schedules, where the people work the same day after day after day. Once you put the repeating schedule in for an employee, it'll just continue to repeat week after week. You won't have to do anything extra. Now, if they're not repeating schedules, they might be random schedules, changing all the time. In that case, here's Xavier Aston. For that type of employee, we have a tool called Quick Schedules. Quick Schedules is a series of punch pairs representing the in and out expected punch of an employee. The punch pairs can be as many as you want down here to help for ease of scheduling. And if one department needs certain punch pairs but the other department doesn't, you're not going to be cluttered with showing all the punch pairs for people who don't need them in their department. So that can be easily put out by supervisor and department. In this case here, let's say give him an 8 to 4:30 time on the 17th, and then on the 19th, let's say he's not working, but on the 21st, he's going to work something different. So I'm going to give him 7:30 to 4. So it's very easy to program both repeating schedules and non-repeating schedules. You do not have to use schedules, but what it does certainly is it helps in creating your dashboard. So dashboard essentially is telling you the difference between what you thought was going to happen, that's the schedules, and what did happen, those are the punches. So if you don't use schedules, you really can't tell if someone came in early or left late or took some other types of punches to identify related to schedule. In this case here, the red items indicate the most commonly used exceptions, which is absenteeism and missing punches. In addition to them being there, we have a to-do bar over here on the right that can show the same summary while you're working in the body of the software here. So when I get rid of the dashboard, let's say, to look at a typical employee time card, even when I'm looking at Amber's time card in any issues, I can quickly go to any of the other missing punches or absenteeism or leave requests without having to always go back to the dashboard. Typical time card. Day of the week, date, schedule. Looks like Amber's working 7:30 to 4. Next comes the punches. She got 8 to 1 here, unscheduled. There's an exception, unscheduled. In and out punches, total hours for that day. And department or work group, they call it in our software, work group. It can be up to 7 segments of, let's say, department and sub-department. Although most companies will either use just one department work group or maybe 2 segmented. Maybe building to plating. Maybe Detroit support and then Minneapolis support, Minneapolis IT, that would be 2 segmented. Total hours in each work group and any type of notification that might help you interpret this time card. We can see a couple different special exemptions set up here, such as when to call it an exception. For example, when she has a 7:30 to 4 o'clock punch here, or schedule, the 7:27 is early, but the 4:01 is late, but not by so much. So most companies do not think of that as bad to come in a couple minutes early and maybe leave 1 minute late. However, on the next day, just to show the opposite, we set a 5-minute parameter for both early punch in and late leaving. In this example, you can set it at whatever you want to. And then that would generate an arrived early exception for her coming in too early, and a left late exception for her leaving too late if you're trying to watch overtime, for example. And then we have her showing as absent here. So when you have somebody as absent, then you're going to have the ability to address that absenteeism. This is on the next day, so we're not going to address it on this time card. But let's look at another time card. I'm going to pick, let's say, Robert DeLuca. Here's a simpler look. So in the demonstration, when we show a lot of exceptions, it can look busy. But let's say most of the time you're just going to have people doing what they were scheduled to do. And it's going to look as simple as this here. Then as you clear up your exceptions and fix your employees, let's go back to that dashboard and look for, let's say, a missing punch. And there's Amber. I'm just going to be able to see and just click in the cell. And if she did, let's say, leave at 4 o'clock, I can use AM, PM, or I can use military time. That's a preference that you can pick by user. If somebody likes military time, they can use it, and the other person can be using AM, PM. So now, as you see that happening, you're going to clear up the exceptions on the dashboard. You're going to, at the end of the pay period, have a summary by every pay code that you have. Not too many people are going to have all these regular, sick, third shift, overtime, weekend work, PTO, double time, working through lunch, vacation, salaried. But you'll have this list, and then you'll be able to go down as a sub-supervisor, for example, when you're helping out. I'll take Mariah again. You're going to be able to approve that time card. It's going to, if you want to make any notes to your supervisor, you can. So now that's approved and locked. Locked means that nobody can change that time card. So as the person in charge of payroll, you'll be able to tell how many people have unapproved time cards who are working for you. The unapproved time cards, you'll know to remind those people to go ahead and finish approving their cards. Now, once you start working on the payroll, let's say Monday morning at 9 o'clock, the last thing you want is somebody then starting to, quote, fix other things and change things. So once you have control of the time cards, normally you don't want anybody else touching them. And that's what the locked meant here for Mariah. After you clear up all the exceptions and whether or not you want to have, you don't have to have approvals, but you can have approvals, then you can send those time card summaries off to the payroll. We interface with about 27 different payroll companies, or you can take it inside to QuickBooks. And that is the basics of timekeeping. We would love to do a further detailed demonstration for you with topics like points and incidents. There is a separate video on asking for time off and how the approvals are done. Thanks for your time today, and we look forward to having you take a better look at our system.